So typically when Jeff and I come together to decide each week who it's going to be, we've already got some sort of plan or we're laying it out in some sort of way. But I think it's funny, last week I asked you, was there any freshman that maybe we hadn't talked about enough who could stand out on G-Day? Little did we know, it was going to be Dominick Kelly, the four-star cornerback who reclassified from 2026 to 2025 out of Bradenton, Florida, went to IMG, 6'1", 190. He had an interception that he ran back for 31 yards and a major pass breakup. It doesn't take much to identify what made him stand out amongst the rest.
Yeah, so IMG Academy, that's another guy that the Ascenders sent to Athens. And they just come very wired for business. They're like kind of all about business. At one point, Dominick Kelly was committed to USC. I think that was largely tied in with Dante Williams and Coach Dante and their relationship there. Soon after, when Coach Dante took the Georgia job, you kind of heard about Dominick. You kind of heard about that connection there, and it wasn't long. I think he committed to Georgia, I believe, in late June of last cycle. And this was a guy that continues to impress you. Every interaction I had with him was like super mature kid. That guy's going to do big things, and he did so already at G-Day. You know, the mental note I had, like I make notes every time I talk to a kid for the first time, and sometimes they come up in stories, sometimes they don't. But Kelly was, I remember my notes here for Kelly because I just looked at him before we taped today. And Kelly was about, you know, we'll play right away, a typical Georgia guy, gets the UGA standard and mentality. Kind of that's what I was thinking. And Kaylee, he even told me back in October of last year that he was going to reclass after his official visit for the Tennessee game. So he was just ready to get to Georgia, ready to get to play. And so, again, everybody liked number 24, although it took him a while to say, hold on, is that Malachi Starks there? Who's that? But made some plays. I thought he looked good in coverage as well. Georgia's got a lot of great corners, but I think they got another great one now in Dominick Kelly.
Well, as you mentioned, he initially was a USC commit, then decides to go to Georgia. So let's hear from Dominick Kelly himself on why he chose Georgia.
Initial plug with Georgia, was it a little bit of Coach Dante? Was it the reputation of the program? Like, what was the reason why you flipped to Georgia?
Yeah, 1,000%. I think, you know, like you spoke on, just, you know, the relationship I have with Dante. You know, he's a great coach. We're really close. And then also, yeah, like, you know, the reputation of the program of, you know, in my opinion, there's no better place for a DB to go right now. You know, you have, you're constantly spitting out DBs at the highest level. You know, you can see the alumni that are in the NFL right now, not to mention playing the best conference in all of football and having the opportunity to compete for national championships. You know, it's something I really couldn't pass up. It's just being somewhere that has that pedigree of developing DBs to play at the next level and playing at a high level while you're in college.
Dominick, let me tell you what really impresses me about you, because I see every year, every cycle, guys that are committed, they're at the game, either the game's out of hand or halftime happens, and guys will go into that recruiting lounge and they'll stay in the AC and they'll watch games and they'll eat. I've noticed you 2 straight weeks where you're like, it looks like to me, tell me how you're thinking, but like, dude, there's a ball game right in front of my nose. I'm going to get as close to the field as I can and soak up everything. Is that what I'm seeing you're doing? I mean, that you're there for business as much as it is to hang out, it looks like.
1,000%. You know, I'm a football junkie, so anytime I'm able to see something at that high of a level, you know, I'm not just there for you know, the ambiance of it. I really want to see the football. I want to see what's going on. And, you know, I'm constantly studying the game. So whenever I have an opportunity to watch it and soak up some information, I want to. So that's why you see me, you know, kind of front and center, just because, like I said, you know, I want to see the game. I want to see some things that, you know, other people might not see just from watching on TV. And, you know, I really value that experience. So I'm really there to watch the game, you know, not just so much as a recruit.
You know what's funny? The guys that do what you do end up being successful at Georgia, but also playing faster because you take it seriously. Like, you're there for the ball. And I don't know if everybody gets that. Does Georgia see you corner, safety, star? Like, what's the fit there? Is it all around, or what do you think?
I mean, for me personally, you know, I'm willing to play wherever any coach wants me to play, however I fit best in the secondary, wherever they feel. But from what I've only spoken to Dante and what I've gotten message from the staff, just corner. Yes, sir.
You know what sticks out the most to me? That part right there at the end. Him saying, I'll play wherever they want me to play. Because it feels like lately guys will only go to a school now if they can play the position that they want to play, even if it's not the one that we view in our minds as best at. So that shows you that's a true team player right there, which is becoming more and more rare with each class.
I wish you guys could see behind the mic, behind the scenes cam while we're watching the playback of the video. You got Miss Kaylee over here, and she looks like that Shannon Sharp meme on social media. That she's got that right up there. She's nodding along. That was a Kaylee clip right there that she really liked. And Kaylee, you know, it's funny you say that. Georgia has a very popular director of recruiting, Coach Coop, on social media, David Cooper, and he refers to a lot of the guys at Georgia that get it, that understand, calls them young kings. I think Dominick Kelly is one of those young kings that Coach Coop talks about a lot. Elite, want to play with elite, just everything about that interview. And folks, we adhering to all University of Georgia media rules. That was actually an interview with Dominick Kelly from last fall, from last October, November, I believe. Obviously, we can't talk to freshmen right now, but good little window into Dominick Kelly. You want to know why he's making plays on G-Day, in his very first G-Day, when he was supposed to be right now a junior in high school, getting ready to, you know, try on boutonnieres and corsages for his prom. Dominick Kelly, like I said earlier, there's DeMello Jones, there's Ellis Robinson, there's Dalen Everett, there's Daniel Harris, a lot of great corners at Georgia. Dominick Kelly is going to be another great one.
So that's our Next Generation series, all about Dominick Kelly.